This week on SailAway. It's only days until we leave St. Augustine and head back to the Caribbean, and we're about to install our most important upgrade so far. Our new Cruise RO 40-gallon per hour Watermaker. Cruise RO makes straightforward, logically laid out water makers with easily replaceable parts at a very good price. We're going to take you through the whole thing, from the destruction of our galley to accommodate all the parts. I'm living in Lauren's world right now.
Rude.
To each and every component, what they do, and why we put them where we did. From strainer into the system.
Thank you.
Including a few missteps.
My bad.
Right down to the completed install and how to run it. Don't go away.
Ever wish you could escape normal life and experience more of the world?
So meet me on that island. Well, we did just that. We sold everything we owned on dry land and sailed away. Promise me that we'll sail away.
Now we are roaming the planet in search of new adventures and sharing it with you every week.
Just promise me that we'll sail away. So hit subscribe and escape normal with us. And I'll be yours forevermore. Come on, it's just that little button down there. That's it.
I always thought it was a little weird when you saw the people on YouTube scrubbing their boat in the rain. But we always had a Watermaker, and now we don't have a Watermaker. I understand. Are you having the most fun?
Yeah, I'm having pretty fun. Less dirty. You know. Look what it is. We've had this sitting around since Charleston. We are working with Cruise RO, and we're going to be showing you this entire system as we unbox it and install it. We've been so busy with other things we haven't even been able to unpack it. So we're going to open some of it up and see what it looks like. Hey guys, we just wanted to cut in real quick. As I mentioned, we are working with Cruise RO. So before we get started with all this stuff in the video, we wanted to let you know about the special deal you can get through us.
So if you watch this whole video and you like how everything is set up, you can use our code that we are going to put right over River's face right here. And yeah.
It's called a cruising kit.
A cruising kit.
It's a ton of extras worth $180. And all extras that you'll want if you decide to install a Watermaker.
So it's a really good deal. Check it out. Obviously, we're happy with it, but we want you guys to try it too.
So check out the video. We're going to go into it in exhaustive detail. Let us know what you think.
Really
Cheers.
exhaustive. Yeah.
Rivers.
We initially chose Cruise RO because of the simple component construction and the reasonable price. For 3 years on Cecilia, we had a big name brand that required a lot of special parts and a ton of attention. We wanted to go a different direction.
God, it's heavy. We're going to start working on the Watermaker, and that means the very first thing we got to do is rip that old cooler out and provide a place where the panel's going to mount and the hoses and all that are going to run down behind there. Well, y'all, like I said, today is the day when we finally rip this fridge out. And I'm both dreading it and really looking forward to it. All that space sitting unused, well, it's going to be used now. We just got to get this entire cooler out of here. Basically what we're going to have, we're going to mount our control panel for the Watermaker right here. We'll have all the connections and hoses right there. And with all this out of the way, this leads right down into this floor area. It's one big bilge area. And that is where most, hopefully all, of the Watermaker is going to be installed. It's truly demo day. Alright, I have tapped around and tested, and Try to think of any possible way to do this. I think it boils down to a circular saw. I'll set this thing to a maximum depth of maybe like a 1/2 inch and just start cutting. And after we start cutting, we'll start pulling. We'll see what we got. Whew. Just got an idea what we're dealing with now. I just keep making that noise. That's how I feel. Much shower time needed. We're getting there though. Getting close. Kinda. Here's where we stand right now. Got all of the cooler box out. So all that's left now is this expanding foam that they've sprayed in between the cooler box and the walls. The actual fiberglass. This is all of the fridge. There's a lot of stuff. 3 bags and a pile. So as I mentioned, this beautiful panel, it really is, man, look at it. That's going to go right here. I've already got it marked off. We've looked all over the boat, thought about possibly mounting on the front, but that takes away so much of our storage space. This way, it only takes away the amount of area we need to accommodate the lines and give them plenty of room. So that'll only be, into about here or so, which means all the rest of that I can cut out and make a couple of nice big honking shelves to put some of our bigger pots and pans and appliances in. I did indeed measure twice, and it paid off because I had it marked wrong. See that? Could have been disastrous. That. I'm done for the day. I'm not doing anything else. I'm tired.
Okay.
Except take a shower.
Yeah, you're gross.
Real gross. So I'm going to get back on this Watermaker, and this is kind of cool. This right here is how the manual comes. So I'm going to stick that in there and get an idea of starting positions here and kind of figure out how I want to arrange it down there and what I need to do to mount it. I don't know. We'll see once we get everything unboxed and laid out. Try to get an idea of how much room we need. Peruse the PDF first and see what they got to say. I'm sure it's not as hard as it looks. Membrane. Insane in the membrane. Insane in the brain. There's no other song I can think of with membrane in it. Ready to go too.
Put it together, I need a shower.
Alright, just give me 5-10 minutes. This is all the stuff. And it's really not that much stuff. That's kind of the point. Obviously we got a lot of extra filter elements, which is really nice. We got plenty of pickling solution and oil for the big pump. The main components obviously are the high pressure pump. We got a double membrane because this is a 40 gallon per hour system. DC pre-feed pump, various tubing that's used in different ways. The green is the inlet tubing and all the low pressure stuff. Red is the brine water discharge and also sample water, and then the blue is the actual product water. And we got our high pressure hoses for the membrane and the pump. This is our push button freshwater flush solenoid valve. TDS automatic sensor, and that's it. It's really not complicated. It's just a matter of finding the best way to mount all this stuff and keep all the runs as short as possible and with the least amount of angles, bends, twists, things like that. And we got this really cool panel. This is obviously part of the kit. It's not laying there because I already put it in last night, as you saw. The trick is getting everything routed to the panel and then back to all the different elements, free of leaks and free of too many twists and turns and all that kind of stuff. These things are a little bit longer than I remember, so we're going to have to see how much space we have down there and what it's going to take to actually mount these. And then this thing just weighs a ton, so obviously we've got to get it mounted up really well also, so that it can't shake itself loose or do any damage to itself or anything else. Alright, I guess I better start figuring out where all this stuff's gonna go. Alright, so this manual's pretty easy to understand, and this right here is the most helpful page. They've actually taken pictures of all the components and for our specific system and show exactly how they lay out and run together. But it's really nice just to see the flow of everything. We'll go take a look at that now and see what our space looks like.
I made a self-destruct system.
You did? How's that work? Self-destruct? It kind of partially self-destructed. You built it too strong. We use every part of the products we get, including the packing materials. Fun part, just getting the freaking bilge clean enough for that nice new Watermaker. It's really not bad. I mean, as cleaning bilges go, this is about as convenient as you can ask for. I'm gonna clean my hose too. Gotta keep that hose clean. Ray Charles, everyone. Ray Charles. Give it up. Give it up for Ray Charles. Georgia! Play Georgia!
Play. I'm not gonna play anything till
I know. One day you will. Well, we're back at it this morning. I've begun kind of laying the components out. Well, more than begun. I've mostly got it figured out. The membranes are going to run along this inside wall here, and they are too long for this compartment. So I'm going to cut an access hole right in the top of that they slide right through, and then the brackets mount them directly to the wall. I got to get that in there first to then build a shelf for this pump. It's going to take some time. We've got about 6 days before we have to get off this mooring ball. Start making our way down to the Bahamas and onward. We'd really love to have this running and making water for us before that happens.
How's it like to feel short?
Like I'm living in Lauren's world right now.
Rude.
No, this is good for me. Cutting holes in the boat. Hope it doesn't not float.
You're a songwriter.
Yeah, I'm a song guy. I'm a songwriter, guys. Songwriter here.
Not.
Just keep showing my battery. Let me show them the hole. It's a hole.
It's a hole.
I'll show you the hole once I put the membranes in the hole. I think it'll be sufficient. Alright, y'all. It's starting to kind of take some shape here. And I'm in the process of hooking up all of the low pressure feed water lines at the moment. I have not shown you this entire process because it would make one really boring video, because it'd be about 3 hours of me going. Digging a hole. So yeah, the foam on the bottom of this thing, so that sort of like bilge area goes down probably that deep, and it's just all solid blown foam, expanding foam. Almost no way to get the whole block out without killing myself.
I have an idea.
Dynamite?
No, let me go put on some real pants, and I'm just gonna get in it.
You're gonna get in the hole?
Yeah.
I don't think you'll be able to do anything once you're in there.
I mean, if you take out the trash can.
Okay.
Okay.
Are you prepared?
I don't know.
Lauren's going in the hole to make the hole. You're gonna have to turn around once you get in there.
Yeah.
Oh, look at you.
It's fine.
I can see your butt through that hole.
Yay!
Is that your butthole?
You're hilarious. Alright, give me things.
There's a couple options.
Ah!
No, not that.
Okay.
Colored pencil doesn't help much.
Just down.
Like another few inches on as close to this wall and this wall.
Okay.
And that's where the tubing's gonna come through.
Okay.
This could be your like
Safe room, panic room?
your panic room.
I'm just in a hole and we're putting holes in the boat that we don't really know 100% where they're gonna come out. Nope. No.
Really?
Really?
It's not possible.
Did it go all the way through?
Just get the whole thing through there.
No. Alright, here, let me dig out this corner some more. Maybe it just came out with foam some more. We did things. Trying not to fall in the hole is the problem.
You can do it. It's one big dip.
I got foam everywhere.
Thank you for your service.
Sometimes my tiny stature comes in handy.
Actually, quite often.
You know,
We've crammed you in quite a few small holes.
I've met a lot of people that think that I'm much taller than I am, and this just goes to prove to you how much tall I'm not, actually.
How much tall you're not.
How much tall I'm not. That's what I said.
Alright, I guess I better clean up and start running some tubing. Excellent. Haven't talked to the camera in a couple days. I've just been sort of toiling on the Watermaker. We've made a lot of strides in the last few days. I've got the Watermaker pretty much all plumbed and ready to go. And again, that's another one of those things why we're so glad to be doing this on the coast of the U.S. and with a car at our disposal at the moment, so that we could go back and forth to Lowe's and the marine stores, just digging through these little plastic fittings, trying to get everything to hook up as close to the most proper way as possible. We're pretty much down to wiring this thing up. That means we've got to get power all the way from here across, down, and to the panel and the pump down there. Most of the electrical, as you can see, runs up this hull and straight up in there, and that is basically going underneath all of our benches across this wall here and down like on the floor. So we're to the point now where I'm going to start running these things that direction, and then we're going to electrify this thing and hopefully not ourselves.
Some half-inch thick starboard I already had made for a great shelf for the main pump. With it and the membranes in place, it was about assembling everything else around them.
This is, of course, what the cabin looks like when running lines places. Hole. This is our solution for our sample water. As you're starting up the Watermaker, it takes a little while for the salinity to come down, and so the product water has to go somewhere. This will sit right in here in this hole opposite our saltwater pump, and so then as it's doing that, obviously it just runs overboard, or we can take a sample. Look at that placement. Perfect. Truly the finishing touches right here. Chris has been hard at work getting the source of the electric all sorted out over here for both the DC and the AC. We have a switch on the panel now for the boost pump, which is 12 volt. We had a spare spot for our breaker for the high pressure pump and the rest of the system. I'm just sort of spying, seeing if I can find drips anywhere before we really turn it on. Everything is open. Valves are all open. Everything is just waiting for pumps to fly. We also have everything wired up back here. Yeah, it was a little tedious the last couple of days getting all this stuff sorted out, but we think we have it, and it's just about time to turn it on, see what happens. Hopefully water happens in a good way, not in a bad way. We've got 2 areas that we've installed this stuff. We have a strainer right here, and this is our through hull right down there. So basically it goes from through hull to strainer, from strainer into the system. This is our valve to choose from seawater, or if we're pickling the system, there would be a hose coming out of that white fitting. So that goes into the boost pump. On the other side of the boost pump, we have an air purge valve, which is closed, and we have a shutoff valve, which is open. That goes to first our 20 micron, then our 5 micron filter. Back there we have another purge valve for getting the air out of the system. This line here goes to our pressure gauge, so we can see what the boost pump pressure is. I have another shutoff valve for the high pressure pump, and then the water goes in and the water comes back out right there in the high pressure hose into the membranes, goes all the way through the membranes, back and out again, and into our area where our panel is. And then also at the end there you can see the exit for the product water. Now also on this side we have the fresh water, which is teed in over here at our freshwater line. This here's a pressure regulator, and that goes into the carbon filter. From there it goes into this little valving system, which we have a push button set up. So when we push that button we can do freshwater flush. That opens that valve. And this little bypass here is in case that valve's not working, you can open that to get fresh water. We've got that shut. Goes here to a check valve so the water can't flow backwards. And then it tees into this T right here where the raw water, seawater comes in. And then over here we have our other high pressure line. The heavy blue line is our other high pressure line that goes up and into our panel. And then all this is just a kind of confusing array of tubing. We got everything running in the panel, which is our product meter, our TDS, automatic TDS meter. That right there is the probe that goes into the product line to tell us how much, what our parts per million are. We got a valve here to select from starboard or port tanks. And we also have a brine water discharge, which is right there. And that goes up here under the sink. We have a through hull under there that goes out. And we also have sample water, which while the system's getting started up, the sample water runs up into this little valve that I showed you the other day. And that's what you leave it on until you know the water's good, and then you switch over to the tanks. So thanks for letting me talk that through with you, because that helped me see that, yeah, it looks like we have everything hooked up right. So, are we ready to turn this thing on, or what?
I've been ready.
Hang on.
You've been ready? Chris isn't ready.
No.
Why?
Because the filters, 30
Mm-hmm.
micron, 5 micron,
20 and 5.
25. It seems that I read something in the manual where they run.
I know, I reversed them so they'd work for
Okay.
this flow.
Okay.
Yeah, good catch though. Yeah, when these come, they're set up to flow from right to left, but the way our system is set up, I spun them around and remounted them so that they'll flow from left to right. Normally that would go the other way, but that's one of a few things that I sort of took apart and altered so that they would fit and work with our setup. So,
Okay, go.
anything else look funky?
That's it.
All right, cool. Lauren,
Do it.
you want to hit the boost pump?
I don't know what it is.
It's right here. So boost pump on.
Okay, ready?
Yep.
Oh, wait.
Red light. Good, thanks.
We got water in our strainer.
So something's leaking.
Where?
Down there. See the water coming down in the building.
bilge.
Oh, yeah, it's coming out of the fresh water. Okay, what we think is going on there is just this check valve needs some Teflon on it, because when the water comes up through the system, it naturally is also pushing back through that T valve into the check valve and building up pressure there, and it was just leaking there. So I'm gonna put a little Teflon tape on it and see if that does the trick. Time to try it again.
Take two.
Just pop on. Oh, shit. My bad. So we're supposed to go see if we can see brine water being discharged. We'll have to look under the boat. We got confirmed water coming out of a hole someplace on the inside of the boat.
Coming out of the A-hole?
A-hole. I hope it's not the A-hole. I'm looking more for the B-hole, the brine hole.
Bone hole? Oh.
All right, we've been verifying all the things, and everything seems to be non-leaky. So we need to turn this on and let it run for 5 minutes. I'm not sure what happened there.
Is the light still lit?
Yeah, but it quit when I turned this on. You switched over to generator power, and obviously this is on. The power is on. All right, got to figure this out now. All right. That's the sound of a running Watermaker drip-free running from the inverter. So right now we're just trying to get through the commissioning process, get all the chemicals flushed out of the membranes, get it making water just to test it out, and then we'll turn it off, charge our batteries. There's something weird going on in our panel. It won't run off the generator. It'll run from the inverter with no problem whatsoever, but it's drawing a ton of amps, so this is not like the best way to do it. We're drawing our batteries down. And it doesn't make sense because our generator will run both our water heater and our battery charger pumping 100 amps into our bank. So something weird is going on, and we just haven't had a chance to really figure it out yet. So get the Watermaker working, and then we'll figure out why it won't work on a generator. For right now, just purging some chemicals, and then we'll start making some water and see what it does. So far, a tentative thumbs up. All right, next step, we've had this thing running long enough to get all the chemicals out, is you turn up the pressure to 600 psi for 10 minutes just to break in the pump. Right there's 600. They're starting to come up. 500. Oh, yeah, starting to see water flowing through the rotometer. Should start to see it coming out of the sink valve. Yep, there it goes. All right, there we go. There's 600 for 10 minutes. The system should be purged of all chemicals, but our TDS meter is not working for some reason. We've got to figure that out, and we don't have a handheld one. So that means it's down to the good old-fashioned human taste test. Lauren's got to drink it. All right, here we go. No odor. Must be iocane powder. Sorry, I was really drinking. Tastes pretty damn good.
Alright, well nobody else drink it until after tonight, and if you die.
It tastes like RO water.
Okay, I guess we'll both die then.
Tastes awesome.
Tastes like water. We made water!
We make water! Now we gotta put it in the tanks to see if that works. Right now, this is how our water goes into the tank. Don't worry, I have a more sophisticated solution for this, just not yet. Alright, I'm gonna turn the valve to tanks. I've got it on, this is port, this is starboard. We got it on port. Alright, it should be going through that hose now.
Yeah.
Cool. Alright, now I'm going to put it on starboard and see if we get it over there. Hey, water! We are officially making water! We're not making it 100% the right way, power-wise, but we'll get there. Step 1, or step 50, there's a lot of steps. We're doing good. I'm pretty happy with it. But we're running our batteries down right now, so we're going to do the shutdown procedure and see if our flush valve works, and then shut her down. Alright, next step, lower the pressure until it's completely open. Should take about 30 seconds, it says, for it to drop down to about 150. Should turn this to water flush manual. Don't see any leaks. I think I hear it running through there. Can't tell. Alright, went out and confirmed that it is indeed running. We can see water coming out of the brine discharge, so we're supposed to be able to run the high pressure pump as well. Sounds right. We figured out the problem with freshwater flush, and that was we were out of water on that tank. So kind of a fun variable to be thrown into our process. Switch tanks, got the air out of the system, and it flushed fine. Valve opens the way it's supposed to. With these, you can just flush. So turn it on, you can see the pressure come up, and it's pushing water through the system, fresh water and straight overboard. And you do this to get all the salt water out of the system as much as possible so that you don't get growth between times. Now, you're supposed to be able to use the high pressure pump to assist, but unfortunately, I don't think our house water pump doesn't seem to be strong enough to keep up with it, because if you don't have positive pressure over here while the high pressure pump is running, that's bad. And unfortunately, when we turn that on, it just can't get enough water. And then you see the pressure jump up for a second, but we're really only pushing 15, 16 psi. So on a normal basis, if you really want your system to be as clean as possible and save your membranes as much as possible, you want to flush it 6-7 minutes after every use. Watermaker like this, we're making 35-40 gallons an hour. So if you run it for a couple of hours and make 70-80 gallons of water, you can afford to flush a few gallons through it to preserve it. If you can run the high pressure pump, it only takes about 3 minutes. So not a huge deal. I think we just need a stronger house water pump would be nice. I think we're gonna enjoy making this amount of water. We just got to figure out these couple bugs. But till tomorrow, I'm gonna go drink my drink and celebrate a pretty darn successful startup day. All systems are go. And as you can see, we got our TDS meter working. It was just a matter of flipping the T-fitting that it's in a different direction. I had it with the probe on the top, and so we think a bubble was just up in that little corner, and it wasn't able to really get a flow of water. So we just turned it, made the flow go the other way, so the T is flat on top. And that way we know there's no bubble in there. And as soon as we did that, it worked perfect. Good steady pressure on the high pressure pump. Our boost pump is doing well. And we're putting out about 36, 37 gallons per hour right now. So yeah, killing it. We're pretty much 100% on the Watermaker, and I'm pretty happy about that. You know, there's a lot of moving parts there, a lot of plumbing, a lot of fittings. It's safe to expect that things won't always work right, and you'll have to like mess with it a little bit to get it right, but we only had to do it a little bit, a couple little things. If I mentioned that's my favorite t-shirt of yours, and I really wish I had one. I feel like it's appropriate. Yeah, it's so appropriate.